it's to allow the Department of Public Works to accept easements for construction and maintenance and for water and drainage, and we know about water and drainage these days. That's the main purpose of this.
Does the Finance Committee wish to make a recommendation? No. No action required on the part of the Finance Committee. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 4. Mr. Vino.
Mr. Moderator, I move to authorize the treasurer to enter into compensating balance agreements as specified in Article 4 as printed in the warrant.
Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Vino.
The Board of Selectmen recommend.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 5, Mr. Yule.
Mr. Moderator, I move to appropriate such sum as may be allotted from the Chapter 90 apportionment for the purpose of constructing, reconstructing, or maintaining roadways within the town of North Reading, as specified in Article 5 as printed into the warrant.
Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Yule.
The Board of Selectmen recommend.
For the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee recommends.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 6. Mr. Delaney.
Mr. Moderator, Article 6, rescind bond authorizations. I move to rescind the following residual bond authorizations as specified in Article 6 as printed in the warrant. Article 2 of the October 4, 2004 town meeting, Bad Shelter School renovations in the amount of $229,810.
Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Delaney.
Board of Selectmen recommends. These funds were not needed as the actual cost of the project came in below that figure.
For the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee recommends.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 7, Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 7, fund town share Route 62 culvert installation. I move to appropriate the sum of $270,000 for the design and construction of a culvert and related improvements on a portion of Route 62 located within the town of Wilmington, including the acquisition of easements and costs incidental to said project, and as funding therefore to authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to borrow the sum in accordance with General Law, Chapter 44, subsection 7 or 8, and any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes therefore, and further, to accept and expend state and federal grant funds which may be available to offset the town's costs, and further, to authorize the Board of Selectmen, acting under the provisions of General Law, Chapter 83, Section 4, to acquire the foregoing easements by gift, purchase, or eminent domain as specified in Article 7 as printed in the warrant.
Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. O'Leary.
The Board of Selectmen will unanimously recommend this article, Mr. Moderator. This is a project which has been in the works for years. In order to grant some relief specifically to the Martins Pond area of town. If any of you haven't been down there for the last 2 or 3 weeks, you probably have seen pictures of it in the newspaper, and over the years I've seen pictures of the flooding situation which transpires down at the Martins Pond area as a result of significant rainfall. This solution has been in the works for a decade or more. We've been trying to work with the town of Wilmington and finally come to terms whereby they are allowing us to go in and work with them in their community right on Route 62 as you're heading out towards 93 to replace the culvert that runs under Route 62 in their community. In addition to that, we've been able to secure grant money from the state in order to assist us with the project. Right now, the total cost of the project is approximately $750,000. It's a $480,000 grant. What we're asking for is the full appropriation of $270,000 in order to get the project done and completed. We are hopeful that there will be other funding available which will reduce the cost of the town of North Reading. We're still in negotiations with the town of Wilmington, as well as looking for other outside sources of revenue to support this project. I can't stress to you people enough how important this is for us to seize the opportunity to have most of this paid for by outside funds. This is, again, a long time project that we've been trying to get underway and trying to get funded. Now is the opportunity to take advantage of it. Nothing has highlighted the need for it more than the last 2 or 3 weeks that's been experienced here in North Reading with the people in that area. So we strongly recommend that you support us in this endeavor, and thank you very much.
Does the Finance Committee wish to make a recommendation?
It would be odd to add to Mr. O'Leary's comments about the need for this. The Finance Committee recommends.
Discussion. This requires a 2/3 vote as bonding is involved. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 8, Mr. Messeri.
Mr. Moderator, I move to appropriate the sum of $138,000 for stormwater infiltration projects described more fully in a grant application titled S319 Non-Point Source Pollution Grant Program Request for Response number BRP 209-2 dated June 1st, 2009, and the townwide drainage outfall survey and updated GIS mapping dated March 21st, 2010, including costs incidental and related thereto. And as funding therefore, to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to borrow said sum pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes therefore, and further to accept and expend state grant funds which may be available to offset the town's cost as specified in Article 8 as printed in the warrant.
Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Messeri.
The Board of Selectmen recommends this article would provide funding to construct stormwater infiltration projects at various locations and provide public education and outreach required by current federal and state environmental regulations. The town of North Reading was awarded a $328,335 grant from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. The intent is to address stormwater runoff and that adversely affects the Ipswich River and tributaries by capturing and treating the runoff to the source and to upgrade public education. And this is our share in order to maintain and use those grant funds.
Does the Finance Committee wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Keller.
The Finance Committee voted at 8-1 to support this article.
Further discussion. This requires a 2/3 vote as bonding is involved. Were you seeking recognition?
Just a short. Yes. Hi. I have a presentation.
But I need name and address for the record. I'm sorry.
Exposure to Poplar Terrace. I'd like to take take a minute, if I could have 5 minutes to just give you a short presentation on what the grant is about. I think it's just important to see, is that, do I need to read this?
No, as long as you stay within 5 minutes.
Definitely. Where's my little sign here? Okay. Ingeniously, our new DPW director combined both the funding from this grant and the needs of our town and our stormwater permitting program to help fund things that we have to do anyway and get more for us as far as pollution control and abatement and fix some problems that have been kind of plaguing some of the town properties. Two parts of this article, one is the grant and one is with the ROAR project and one is the stormwater additional funding that the town needs to comply with its permit. So the four major parts of this grant are infiltration of stormwater on North Street, some infiltration of stormwater at the Hood School, the town center rain garden, which is an infiltration garden that the garden club has partnered on, and rain gardens that will be throughout town that people can, residents are going to get financial help to put in on their own properties to help promote putting the stormwater into the ground where you live. This is just a short, the goals of our project are really to reduce runoff. We found in studying Martin's Pond that the major sources of water quality impairments are the same that are all over the country, and most of them are due to the number one leading cause of water not meeting quality standards is stormwater runoff. This is the location of North Street where the infiltrating catch basins will be. It's over by the Hillview. This is what a catch basin looks like with a little leach field almost next to it. And so that instead of the storm drains just piping runoff directly down as fast as possible into the nearest river or stream, it puts as much as it can into the ground on location. So the Hood School has some water issues that we're going to solve by infiltrating stormwater on site and getting some runoff that have been creating bad icing situations there. I'll show you just quickly. This is the driveway of the Hood School where there's a huge ice slick, and that stormwater will be infiltrated in an infiltration project. There's also in the back of the school, if any of you have picked up your kids as walkers, you know there's a big ice slick. Those downspouts will be buried and infiltrated into the ground where that water won't be seen. These are just examples of the kind of things that would be installed over there. And what we're most excited about is that we're going to use this as an opportunity to educate the kids and teach them about the future of abating stormwater pollution and how important it is. Similar to the way that local farming has been used at the bachelor school to help kids understand how you can grow your own food. And so this, just continuing with the green emphasis of the entire planet, we're going to try to help educate the kids. The people at the Hood School, Glenn McKay, and our acting superintendent are excited about this, and along with the curriculum director. So there's a considerable amount of money that we've put into the Hood School. The Garden Club is partnering with us to do infiltration rain gardens on town property and to help us design them all over town. We're very excited about partnering up with the Garden Club. It's just a natural connection. Stormwater is, certainly rainwater is useful for your garden, and if we put it in the ground, then we don't have to water as much later and use plants that can stand the inundation with water and then the periodic dryness. So by using better plants and putting things in good locations, we can have less dependency on potable water, people draining the rivers.